In what costume shall the poor girl wear to all tomorrow's parties? Hello, it's me, it's Mistress Illuminaughty Mystex, back with a little special reading night. We have finally completed a poem, finished a book, and now instead of live streaming it as we did during its curation, I decided to make a pre-recorded video so that we wouldn't have any disruptions or any issues with glitching and streaming and all that. So that's what this is. And without really any hesitation, further ado, or interruptions, hopefully, if things go smoothly, I'm going to read to you. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything. Thank you for allowing me the space to be the person I am and enjoying the content I create. It encourages me to continue to share it, because no matter what's going on around me, I'm always going to make it. I'm not always going to share it. So these last few months, this past year has been really terrific. It's been really, really terrific to feel supported for the first time ever, and to be more inspired than I've ever been, and to understand things in new ways. It's been amazing, absolutely revolutionary, and that's a big part of where these things came from. So we've talked about this a lot on stream. You can catch some of my past streams on Patreon, others on my website if you become a member at www.alienmillie.com. And I'm sure we'll talk about it even tonight on stream. But in the meantime, I don't want to say too much, but to start, I'm going to read a poem that I woke up inspired to write one day a few weeks ago that I never followed up with. I wrote it that day, but I never read it. So I'm going to start with that poem about heartbreak that I copied into this journal. And then I'm going to read the highly anticipated follow-up to the classically known book as the Psychedelic Bible, Be Here Now, by Ram Dass. My own version, take, or criticism on the old psychedelic movement and the love revolution is in the pamphlet, handmade, handwritten, Be Forever Always. So it's finally completed. We've been writing this and reading it along each night that I write something, but I finally got those final pages, and then I wasn't able to stream it, so I thought, okay, I'll record it in one sitting. Okay, so I'm going to open with a poem of heartbreak and read you the Book of Love by me, Shaman Love, or Illuminaughty Mystex, because it's more fun. Okay, so let's stop hesitating. Let's stop with the introductions. We know who I am. We know what this is. Let's read, shall we? Welcome, welcome. Come on in. It's got no title. I woke up dreaming of these lines, so I wrote them down, right? If you break my heart 9 times, I'll fall in love 10. For the hearts that break like this are the ones that mend. Because my love keeps going even with a lover's end. Where a heart is bound to break, love will only bend. Succumb to the ways of is, like the mind can't comprehend. So if you break my heart 9 times, I'll fall in love again. Go on and break my heart, that much I can handle. 9 times out of 10, love itself's a gamble. For the taste alone that feels of home can still leave you in shambles. Because in love the greatest risk is the one of passion's kiss, tongues in search in a scramble. After which no contact of lips could ever hold a candle. No love story goes without ache, so if you need a heart to break, let it be mine. Through the cracks between attacks, my love will always shine. Never waver, never dull, back in love again I'll fall, for after 9 times a break, it hardly hurts at all. Because one taste of love can leave you in such bliss, I ignore the danger, and I keep on choosing this. Break it, break it, break it, and break it once again. Go and break my heart 9 times or even 10. Because the pain is written in lines, hidden in poetry and beautiful rhymes, because I know before it ends, I'll only fall in love again. For those are the yearnings of my life. The lessons learned through endless strife. A moment of relief is this, as if it were a dying wish. If you are to break my heart, surely I don't mind. Inside all that breaking is where I always find that when you break a heart 9 times, as the story's told, when you choose to love again, the love returns to you tenfold. Never be afraid to break your heart or get your heart broken. Life will break it for you no matter how good you protect it. All love stories end in a heartache because they end. At least one of them. So never fear. You feel those things from love. Hand-me-down dress from who knows where. And to our main event. Be forever always. A quick response to Be Here Now that we made and wrote over the last couple months. This says something to the effect of, thank you for awakening me and your love. Where else would you begin? What to you is the start of it? Was it before this moment? Maybe. But could you have it all happened without it? I remember my first trip. And what stands out the most to me now was one very amazing moment. I was at Rothbury out the age of 17. This was 2009. I was with my boyfriend at the time, and my lover bears a resemblance that can only be considered canny because I knew him first, but focus. Just to cause a scene for your mind's eye. I sat in the forest with a guy named John, and we sat in silence for way too long. And I did nothing but stare at the wood chips and think nothing was wrong, except maybe my age, and I guess that guy John. We didn't make it too far out of the woods. I always wish them well. I felt comfort of someone next to me, yet it was a new unfamiliarity with the one familiar. Detachment? I had not considered. I was young. Truly, what still stands out to me, even more particularly, was my knowing. I wouldn't have really understood that at the time. I had some great teachers and references, but it wasn't until I started to read Be Here Now, Ram Dass, 1969, out loud, like 14 years later, that I even recognized such a knowing in my young self. And I can now see in me what everyone who ever looked at me after that has always seen. And that is the same knowing that men almost twice my age spent years searching for that I got from my first trip. If you told me I made money talking to God or knew my high school crush, or if that I had been some kind of holy man, back then, I wouldn't have believed you. Or maybe I would have. But now the proof arrived through the pages of a book birthed long before my own, and he described something that reminded me of what I failed to see. I have always known. A true curse and my greatest blessing. So I sat in those wood chips totally alone in a sea of thousands, and I watched them take shapes I'd never seen beneath me. I stared in awe and wonder at this brilliant display, the people walking by, good weather, distant musics. I had been really quite depressed up until that point. I was always quite rebellious too, but I had not discovered real medicine until that moment because my thoughts were, did we skip lines? A little bit. I was really quite depressed up until that point. I was against the norm of Western medicine. That was key, as I was always quite rebellious too. But I had not discovered real medicine until that moment, because my thoughts were, I have finally arrived. I'm experiencing happiness. This is what it means to be free. I've solved it. I'm here. I finally did it. I'm happy. And being in a sea of thousands is also how I found my beloved, though less profound. Of all the faces around me, I found his to be absolutely the most beautiful. So I avoided any way of talking to him for 16 years until I was truly ready to see, understand, and fully realize such a divine moment for what it is meant to be, and the reward of resisting the fruit of a tree without the flowers, indicating that it is ready to be plucked and fully devoured by the buds of such a thirsting tongue. Enjoying the perfectly sweet serenity of God's damned everything you ever dreamed. That is only a bite of what love is to me. But hearts nor people are fruit on a tree. Over the years, I had a slew of erratic behavioral episodes in an unhinged work, social, love life. But even at the very bottom of every bottomed out I had, I always got back up because of something I didn't fully understand, but definitely did know. I have hope. You see, I hadn't stayed on drugs very long. Brief period in the Grand Dam. But I knew I didn't need them anymore. I learned happiness was possible at all. So I made it my mission to figure out how to create and maintain that very state of being. Happy, but also relieved, without the help of anything at all. And yeah, sometimes I wish I hadn't done that, because I really needed the medicine. I now understood, I'm sorry, this binding is just folded construction paper. This was just like a cute little project we were doing. I was inspired recently. And all the inspiration leaves and comes and leaves and goes and is one or the other, and it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you're just telling the same story that we've always told one another, you know? Good and evil, love and hate conquers all. I now understand the treacherous swings to be tied to my uterine cycle, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMDD. It's more complicated than I care to describe, because unless you have it, you'll never understand why we feel, I thought, how we feel. It derives from certain things like stuff considered traumatizing, and it's ugly, unusual, unreal. It affected me for 20 years, so life got away. It always falls. The pain, you know? I felt like I lost so much life to pain, heart, so much cleanup. But I dreamed still. I let it slide away. Something I had no control over, but the madness consumed. I was scared. I really needed that medicine. But I stopped. Found something else. Didn't want to feel so socially unacceptable, but this was worse. I got sober. It hurt a lot. I need the medicine, my God. I was pretty sure I found what I was meant to do and who I was supposed to be, but I didn't trust it because I had not yet understood my own knowing. But I knew. I wanted love and acceptance too. Tried for validation, tried to get approved, but I had asked myself, WWYD. And in time, I'd realized that question is the same as what would I do, because the why is you. But also me, your freaky bee, as I thought since I was 19 and, knew a lot, but not enough. Oh, well, huh? If I proved anything, it's that I'm tough. But who wants to be tough all the time? Not me, I'm tired. I hate instilling fear in others. For a long time, I had not seen the fear that I was binding others to me. I could joke about being mean or intimidating, but these people still loved me, didn't they? But they didn't. Not in a real way, anyway. When I was feared, I got anything I wanted all the time with ease. But I didn't want to be feared. I wanted to be loved. So when I let go of the animosity that kept everybody on their toes, I found I struggled more than ever to recover. I had no idea love would be so fucking isolating. But there I was, being soft and vulnerable, honest and compassionate, trying to be less blunt and brutal. Okay, here it goes. I am not here to teach you things that you don't already know, nor am I here to create an existence not already present. I am here to show you. I am here to show you things that you have always been in front of, but you refuse to see. For I am a channel, a vessel, a universal being. Search. I am the eyes of both worlds. Find. There is a beauty around us, the kind that can be seen easily. And that beauty is tied to something else that you can only understand. You have got to be nice to your ego. You have got to be nice to your ego. You have got to be nice to your ego. You have got to be nice to your ego. You have got to be nice to your ego. You have got to be nice to your ego. You have got to be nice to your ego. It's not a very popular opinion. A lot of people say you should kill your ego. No. Be nice to that guy. And listen why. The point of life will forever be debated, but let me say this. The goal is and has always been on every level for every being evolution. Our goals should be reflected in what we do. When we learn from a teacher or follow a leader, the goal is not to is not to replicate who or what that teacher or leader is, but rather to take those teachings and followings and interpret them in your own way. You turn out your own creation, perspective, a new wisdom. That stuff is really groovy. Not everything you do will pass or ascend the masters. It may not be some kind of revelation to humanity like a missing link. The point is for your personal masters, your personal ascension. Life is the story of your mind unfolding. Your own evolution is the goal. To kill your ego is to insult God's creation. The ego is the individual. Think of the way psychologists have categorized and labeled the human mind. Superego, ego, and id, right? What we must gain control over is this one, superego. It is the luxury adapted. It is best to let this one observe at a safe distance. I want, I hate, I claim, I own. The part in which desires conquering and how ego is perceived. Okay. When you take the super aspect of the ego out of it, you are left with your own humanist interpretation of you, your ability to communicate. Right? That's all the ego is. For some reason, our own sense of individualism is seen as some evil thing to kill. Rather, death from the idea of having to be it, embrace all change that arises. Become comfortable with your bare bones and then dress them in your warmest clothes. That's ego, of course. Coexist with body. Express your mind. Right? There is a cross-section of the ego and the id, as they have to work together for a functional human existence. Without ego, we would be animal. Without id, we'd be dead. The superego is superfluous. The ego is consciousness. The id is surviving. Do you want to kill your ego because you hate yourself or because you don't know who you are? You have arrived specifically and divinely in this very vessel that is your body. It is your job to be it, take care of it, nurture it, love it, become its greatest potential. It is your only job. Should you be assigned a purpose or ascribed a role, as we all are but do not all fully realize, then becoming it is to serve that purpose. Good and evil are as basic a concept as masculine and feminine. Commonly, they lack the same thing, neutrality. The third variety, the universal binary, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-digit code of abundance. But if it is neither here nor there, it is everywhere, and we are brought to now. This is to see the self, accept the self, and honor the self. Heal your heart so you may embrace your ego without harm. Because we were all delicately crafted to be here together in all the uncertainty of life as we know it on this planet and any dimensions, the flesh becomes freedom, not a prison. To enact such beauty all the while we are human. We are here to express, and so I express love. I loved you yesterday, I loved you today, and I love you now. I love you to the moon and without conditions too. And when you ask me how I feel tomorrow, I'll say that I still love you because you're you to all tomorrow's parties.